And there we are. Good evening, everybody. I see we already have 4 viewers. That's fantastic. It also means that we are actually live, because there has been a time where I was talking to myself, and I really don't actually want to be talking to myself. So in any case, that was just a few of Jared's incredible photos. We're going to be chatting to Jared tonight. But firstly, welcome. Welcome to the first episode of The Art of Photography. For those who don't know me, my name is Meghan McCabe. I'm a full-time photographer and videographer. So I have 13 plus years of photographic experience in multiple genres, from motorsport to aviation to wildlife to portraiture to, I think I have ADD, so I kind of go everywhere. And with that experience has come the opportunity and the really epic privilege of meeting different creatives, incredible photographers from multiple genres. And basically that is where I came up with this thought process of doing The Art of Photography. The thought process is about bringing on different photographers. Eventually, it'll actually broaden to bringing on makeup artists, to bringing on editors, to bringing on multiple genres that are kind of in the photographic or videography industry, and just having conversations with them. We all have these questions, and ChatGPT is fantastic at answering some of them, but it kind of loses the personal touch. So, like I said, Jared is going to be our first guest tonight. Jared, I have known for many years. And I'm just quickly going to share my screen, well, to get it set up. Right, we want that picture. There we go, boom, bam. So, wait, oh, there's Jared. And he's still muted, but I know he's showing his shame. He's showing his shame. But basically, I met Jared 2013. So I'd been shooting for a couple of months, almost about a year. And this photo was taken at a FMX event, Supercross event, which was in Pretoria. And I literally, when I went looking for photos, I was like, yeah, this is the shot, because of just how hilarious it is. But yeah, so I've known Jared for many years. He's an incredible aviation photographer. And the honest truth is the fact that I actually really dislike him. I dislike him immensely. And the only reason I say that, and the only reason I dislike him, is the fact that he lives very close to OR Tambo International Airport. And literally just the shots that he produces and the opportunities that he gets with living so close. It's very infuriating and annoying. But alas, we will speak to him and try and get into his brain and into his insight, and maybe he'll give us some secrets. And no, he won't. But I'm now going to bring him on. I'm going to actually unmute him. And there we go. Good evening, Jared. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
How's it, Megan? Thanks for having me.
You are most welcome. You are most welcome. So first of all, comment section is open. Please, if you have any questions throughout the entire broadcast, please post them. If there are more difficult questions, do that more. Challenge his brain. Do it. Exactly, Dana. Yes, his photos are just too good. Can't deal. If you have questions, if you have comments, please show the love. Yeah, but I think let's get into it. So wait, first of all, I wanted to put up a banner. So this is Jared's Instagram account with all of his incredible photos. Go and give him a follow. And I will put the links up a little bit later as well, just to make sure that you guys actually do go and follow. And then that is Jared's Facebook account as well. Go and follow, and you can be just like me and be exceptionally jealous of the photos that he produces. Right here. So we are going to ask 10 important questions to this incredible photographer, and hopefully it gives us a bit of an insight, a bit of a thought process into how he produces his incredible photos, what goes into it, because that's another element with photography. A lot of the times we see the results, but nobody actually really shares the insight that goes into the photos. So I'm hoping that's what you will learn from tonight. I'm hoping you learned something. If you don't, I am truly sorry, but you'll be entertained. All right, so Jared, first question. Are you ready?
I hope so.
You hope so. You better be.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. He actually threatened when we were doing a run through last night. He was like, I'm going to just answer one-worded answers. And I was like, boy, I don't know where you live, but I will find out. And I will come and smack you. Okay, first question. So what drew you to photography, and how has your inspiration evolved over time? I mean, when I first met you, we were shooting motorsport. You've now transferred that into a heck of a lot more aviation. So tell us what was the draw card? What actually started the passion?
So I think back in the day, primary school, late primary school, early high school, my dad actually let me play around with one of his one of his old Minolta film cameras in the garden, and that obviously not functional, but you sort of get the idea of how focusing works and how a zoom lens works and those kind of things. I think that's what initially piqued the interest in photography, and then looking through his old photo albums. I mean, back in the day, you sent your roll of film off, you got it printed, you have small little A5 size photos in a photo album, and just seeing what he actually did back in the day when he was a rally driver, photographing old rally cars and his dogs around the house and that kind of thing.
Oh, that's
it sort of piqued the interest in thinking, is that something that's still possible today? How would one go about doing it? And that idea was always in the back of the head. And
yes.
around about November 2012 or so is more or less when I decided to take the plunge and buy myself a small little consumer introductory kit with kit lenses, a little bag, and just dove head first and try to see if I actually knew what the hell was going on.
And the honest truth is, how many years later do you know what the hell is going on?
Not really. There's always room for improvement. There's always things you can learn. You're never as good as you think you can be.
That is so true. That is exceptionally true. And I think it's a big part of what we do. And at this point in time, I'm sorry I'm fiddling with my screen, but I'm having a mouse that doesn't want to work with me, which generally actually gets thrown across the room, but I can't actively do that on screen right now, which is not helping me.
Don't do that.
But then have you seen how has it changed over the year? I mean, you started, or you bought your first camera, you said 2013, 2014, 2012. 2012, sorry. How did you go basically? And I mean, it is sort of a more normal transition to go from shooting motorsport into sort of aviation. But how have you kind of found your passion has changed from motorsport into aviation?
That's a good question. I mean, it's not really that motorsport's gone away. I just don't actually get out to racetracks a lot of the time because I'm chasing airplanes more these days. I mean, back in the day when I was much younger, it was all about cars and trying to catch the best photo of a racetrack and a motorbike or a car on the racetrack, and that's more or less where it started. Yes. And then you realize, okay, but wait, if I take the camera to the air shows, I can get photos of aircraft, which I'm probably more passionate about than it is when it comes to things with wheels. So the two sort of started overlapping each other, and yeah, I don't know. The rest is kind of history, really.
But I mean, do you find, and I mean, it's kind of, again, it's a bit of a logical question, but shooting motorsport is very similar to shooting aviation. You do have a fair amount of the similarities, especially when it comes to panning, to showing movement in your shots, to incorporating movement in your shots. Correct.
Yeah, that is 100% correct. The base technique for both genres overlaps quite heavily, especially when you're trying to show movement in a photo of an aircraft. Because let's take, for example, something with a propeller. If you use a shutter speed that's too fast, it just looks like someone's parked the plane in the sky, and you don't get a sense that it's actually doing something.
Yes, basically like I did at my first air show. When I started, I had a Nikon D3100, and I was like, oh, I'm so fancy, look at me. And went to an air show and had a great time, and it was amazing, and posted photos, and every single one of them was a static plane in the sky.
Yeah.
So and I was so offended when people didn't like them.
Look, it's difficult, especially if you're photographing planes against a clear blue sky with no clouds in the background, so that the plane is the focus.
Yes.
It becomes tough. It's always nice when there's some clouds in the background, that if you do use a slower shutter speed to show movement in the propeller, the actual background also gets a bit blurred, so you can convey the fact that the aircraft is moving from left to right or right to left through the image. So that also does help. So just plain blue skies is not always the best for the look and feel of the image.
No, very much not.
Like you say, the technique across the two genres is quite similar.
Very much so. Sorry, my computer is busy blocking the fact that I'm trying to share some of Jared's photos right now. So that's very helpful. We were just talking about the fact that very often on these there is technical difficulties, and you just have to roll with them. So I will carry on clicking away and trying to figure it out, while I then ask Jared about the next question. And this is a very difficult question because I think most of us actually can't answer it like properly. How would you describe your photographic style and what makes it uniquely yours?
Yeah, that's a tough one to answer with what I do on the aviation side of things. I'm not quite sure how I would elaborate on the fact that I've got a specific style. I don't know. I've given
Sorry,
it a
I'm
bit of
just
thought.
giving a little bit of a celebratory dance at the fact that I managed to get the stupid thing working. It's
Good
not
stuff.
exactly how I want it to work, but we'll take our small wins. We'll take our small wins. Sorry,
100%.
Jared, you were telling us about your style.
No, that's good. Like I said, I don't really know if there's an actual way to describe it. Maybe trying to make it look as realistic as possible, as colorful as possible. It's very difficult to convey a specific style when it comes to what I'm actually shooting these days. It's not as easy and cut and dry as a portrait photographer who's got a specific look and feel. I feel like they would have when it comes to their kind of portraiture and that, because the conditions are never the same between any two photographs for aircraft.
But I think I was going to say that that makes you adapt as a photographer, surely. That makes you kind of grow in a very big way as a photographer because of the fact that each situation is completely different. So you're constantly changing your thought process in terms of getting the shots, but then you're also, I think you're a bit more maybe aware of inspiration from other elements, so not just getting the same shot or the normal shots, or you're drawing in inspiration from many other aspects. And on that note, actually, another question that wasn't in our notes is, where do you get inspiration? Who do you get inspired by in terms of your shots? Is it just your brain kind of seeing what's in front of you and going, okay, this is what I want to produce? Or is there a specific group, photographer that you actually follow to get inspired by?
I'd say it's probably more the former than anything else. I'm always chasing a unique composition, a unique perspective, unique angle, trying to make do with, like you say, what's in front of you, trying to make what you have in front of you look as good as possible. There are obviously a number of very, very talented aviation photographers out in the world that you can scroll through Instagram and just have a look and see what they're producing. And I think to a degree that seeing the level of work they can produce makes you strive to do better yourself, to push yourself to do better. And I think that probably plays a bit of a role. But I think it's more just me chasing myself and trying to better everything I do on a weekly basis, for example.
And I think that is a very key element when it comes to photography. There's a lot of photographers who have been doing it for many, many years. And I think to an extent we sometimes get stuck. We get kind of stuck in doing things a specific way, or kind of being in a box where our photography doesn't grow. And I think growing photography, growing your style, growing what you're doing, growing your skills is constantly a very important aspect when it comes to shooting any genre, but specifically when you are shooting moving objects.
Correct.
I think it is a very, very key element. It's something that I think the photographic world in South Africa lacks a little bit at times. I don't want to down anybody, but sometimes it does feel like the photographic world, you refer to international photographers, but it very often sometimes feels like the photographers in South Africa are kind of very stuck in doing things a specific way. I mean, I refer back to when we were shooting motorsport. There's a few photographers, and I mean, sure, there is a place that they shoot for specific magazines or specific elements, but they will go to the same spot, same track, same time of day, same. They're never kind of pushing themselves to produce more. So I think both you and I would be very similar in that we would get bored. We would immediately get bored of trying to produce the same stuff. We're constantly trying to grow our style.
Correct. Yeah.
So then the two images that I've just shown, so this one, and again, I do apologize about the fact that they're not full screen. My computer's having a moment. This one and, okay, wait, actually, let's start with this one. How did you plan the shot, or was it pure coincidence / luck?
So to a degree, it is planned because, catching an aircraft in front of the moon is always pretty difficult. But
It is.
it was a normal afternoon spotting session. We were probably waiting for something unique to arrive, and you start. As long as you keep your eye in the sky, you notice things around. If you're keeping your head on a swivel, you always notice stuff. And that afternoon, I actually noticed to a degree once the one plane had landed that the moon was actually rising, and potentially something could arrive and actually cross the moon like that one did. And I mean, that's a minute later, the moon is too high for it to be behind the plane. It's above the plane. The moment is gone. The way the timing sort of links up is not always in your favor.
Yes.
So that was more slightly planned, but also quite lucky in a way.
But I think the luck factor is also very much to do with you as a photographer in terms of, like you said, keeping your head on a swivel and being aware with what's around you and kind of working with it, but then also being able to adapt and kind of use that instantly. Kind of being able to see the potential and see the opportunities. And yeah, I think that is a very, very key factor in terms of being a good photographer. You're aware of what's going on around you, and you're taking in all of the elements and putting them together and then going, okay, bam, this is the shot I want to produce. And it doesn't always work out.
No, it doesn't always work out, but when it does like that, it's quite rewarding.
It's a win. It is,
yes.
Absolutely. It's a very, very big win. And so that was from plane spotting, and I'm guessing OR Tambo.
That's OR Tambo, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Then this was, I'm guessing, an air show?
That was the Potchefstroom Air Show in 2024.
Oh, amazing. Potch, nice. I haven't been to actually, I haven't been to any air shows that are not in Gauteng. That is quite sad. That is very sad. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to waste all my money and go, no, just do it. Just go. Exactly. No, I can imagine it would be, especially if you get to have a different foreground. And I mean, here we don't specifically see the foreground, but if you get to see something or create something different, because that's another big element when it comes to photography is kind of, like I said, adding all of the elements that you see around you together to be able to then go, okay, this shot was taken. It's like, we all know as aviation photographers, we all know a shot that was taken at Swartkorps Air Force Base versus Waterkloof Air Force Base. You can see it immediately.
Correct. Yeah, 100%.
So it's kind of about being able to create a story with the image with what's in the shot. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go to our comments because I've kind of been ignoring them. Adele, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Da-na-na-na. I told Jared you were going to ask him who lives in a pineapple under the sea, and he was very terrified of that question. Timothy, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Claire Van Bergen, very welcome. And Paul Ludick, we were talking about you today. Your ears must be burning. Donna and I were talking about you specifically, about your lightning shots, because flipping heck, dude. Paul stays in Hartbeespoort, and just the lightning storms that he gets are what? Like, just no. Another photographer I just do not like, just so over it. So much jealousy. And Rudolph, good evening. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So again, if you guys are online, please feel free to comment. Please feel free to ask Jared very, very difficult technical questions. He will answer them all.
He'll do his best.
He will do his best. Okay, so next question, and I'm going to go to that for you for a little bit. Where are we? Okay, so this kind of ties in with what we have been discussing a little bit, but the process of get a new shoot. So say you have something in your mind, you visualize a specific shot. How do you kind of visualize your shots? And I'm guessing, actually, no, I want to know the plane spotting shots. Do you visualize, or do you kind of go, okay, cool, this guy is landing today, I hope for these conditions? Or what is your thought process with creating these shots?
So when it comes to that, if it's something unique, it is definitely a case of what's the weather conditions going to be like, what time of day are they actually arriving, because I've transitioned quite a bit into photographing stuff at night, which comes with those risks and challenges.
Yes.
And like I said earlier, it more goes about catching something unique, like the photo you've just put up there.
That is insane, dude.
I risked it for the biscuit on that side of things, where that's an Emirates A380 in a special destination Dubai livery, and they actually sent 2 of those that day. The first one taking off around about, I think it was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon back to Dubai, but in the opposite direction towards Pretoria. So I thought, let me catch the day one and then that afternoon or afternoon departure from the same angle on the same spot. And as luck would have it, Gauteng, Highveld, thunderstorm in the afternoon, insane rain, insane lightning, winds changed direction last minute, runway change, they end up taking off to the south. But I'm next to the airport, I'm next to the runway. I'm not.
So everything kind of just aligned.
You know, and luckily for me, the Qantas A380 departed a little bit before that one, so I could sort of see what focal length I wanted to use, where along the runway I wanted to capture it. And obviously with this one leaving a little bit later, the sun starts to set, you get that golden light in the background. The runway was still luckily a little bit wet for that moisture off of the runway, and yeah, it was just risking it next to the runway and hoping to not get hit by lightning, which came close quite a few times. So it's that chase for a unique angle and a unique perspective that I end up forgetting about personal safety, for lack of a better way of putting it, and just going out there to do something that I don't think a lot of other guys would do.
No. But by the same token, you got the shot, and it then proves that it was worth the risk. But very, very often, and I'm going to say this because I've taken many risks when it comes to shooting motorsport, and some of them have paid off with incredible shots, but it is never worth it. It actually, honestly, okay, aviation's a little bit different, like don't get hit by lightning, sure, but in terms of standing in front of drivers, in terms of doing stupid things to get the shot, there's risking it from a kind of thought out process, and then there is risking it where you are going, okay, well, my life doesn't matter for the photo. And the reality, well, actually, I'm going to ask you, is it worth it? Is it worth the risk?
Always. Unfortunately, always. That's the only answer. It's always, you know, if you don't go out there in challenging conditions, you don't get unique photos.
You know what? That is true. And that is said like an artist, because that is a key factor when it comes to shooting any types of photography. There is a fair amount of risk involved if you want to grow and if you want to get something great. All right, so I am coming back to comments quickly. Anton says Paul would be close to capture that shot. Of what? Of what are we talking about? Of Jared getting hit by lightning? That'd be funny. I don't know which shot are you talking about, Anton? Donna says, is there a plane you dropped everything for when it was coming in?
Quite a few.
Well, I mean, during the G20, there was a plane that was coming in. I cannot remember which one it was, and I do not want to sound like a complete idiot in terms of throwing a name out there, but I still messaged you because Dana messaged me and was like, dude, do you want to drive through to Tambo? And it was some crazy time of night on a Friday night. It was storming, and I was like, okay, we can do that. But then I had to be a responsible adult and not actually do that. But okay, then what is your plane? What is the plane? Or do you have like multiples?
No, there's multiple. I mean, I think it was 2024 when the Russians were supposed to come in October to Waterkloof, and the Blackjack bombers were supposed to come back again. I was ready to do whatever was necessary, like I'm sure my fellow aviation photographers were as well, and everyone was pretty bummed when the DA made the noise and got everything canned. So that would be quite up there on that list. Anything international military related, drop of that, do what needs to be done. Yeah, so I think the one you alluding to is the Turkish Air Force A400 strategic sector that came in on Thursday night that we stood around and waited for, that eventually arrived. I think it was about just after 9 o'clock.
Yes.
That was the same thing of not knowing when it's actually going to get there. Are they coming here? Because when you watch the plane on flight radar, it could go to Lanseria, it could come here.
Yeah.
It's always a catch-22. Is it worth the risk? And luckily I was in the right place at the right time, on the right side of the airport for that matter, to actually catch that arrival.
To actually get it. So with plane spotting specifically, it is, I mean, you can prepare as much as you want. Sorry, I'm again having some technical issues with my computer, which is being a pain in the butt, and I'm not entirely sure why. But you can plan as much as possible. And I mean, in terms of information, there is a fair amount of information on apps like Flight Radar, which I don't have the paid version, but I still live on. I'm like, oh, I hear something and go and check. And then I'm like, oh, okay, cool, it's that. There is a fair amount of information that you can go on, but by the same token, things can change so quickly. So quickly.
They changed at the drop of that. I mean, Thursday night was one of those where we were waiting on the southern side of the airport, on the Boksburg side at runway 03, for the Chinese delegation to arrive in their Boeing 747. And they were just about to turn onto final for the runway, and a storm was rolling over the airport. Number 99, runway change, jump in the bucky, race off to the other side to get there in time, and to have them go out and sit in a hold for about 45 to an hour. And by the time they actually came back to land at the runway, we were at the wrong runway because they were put on the runway close to the terminal. So then, it's all null and void. But had I not gone to the correct runway when they were there, would never have got the shot. So you always got to make that effort to try and catch things, but it doesn't always go your way, especially on larger airports like Oa.
No, I can imagine. And there must be a level of frustration at not getting the shot. But then I think it's also, again, it's kind of what you were saying in terms of mindset of kind of going, okay, what else can I get? There's got to be something else. So I think kind of keeping that positive mindset, because photography is frustrating. I mean, I remember being at the racetrack and you would be standing on this corner and a car would have just done the most spectacular roll. And I mean, we're talking about an accident and we shouldn't be wishing accidents on anybody, but obviously those generally make the most spectacular photos, literally at the next corner. Or it can even happen in front of you and you'll be on the wrong camera setting. So the chances with photography, and especially when it comes to variables where things are constantly changing, the chances of missing the shots is pretty high.
Yep, 100%.
So yeah, you just plan and plan and plan and hope for the best, I guess. Okay, so comment. Jared Sinovich, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Alan says, I wish he had some extra telephoto lenses to obtain some brilliant photos. I wish. Alan, I'm sure that you can hire. There are a lot of different hiring companies and their pricing is actually quite reasonable, I think, mostly. So maybe look at that as an option because telephoto lenses are flipping expensive. My soul.
Unfortunately, the exchange rate's not in our favor, is it, locally?
No, very much not. Very, very much not. Photographic equipment is just flipping. It's like, okay, am I going to pay my rent and actually eat this month, or am I going to spend it on camera gear? It's kind of come down to that exact situation. Anton says, yep. So basically, Anton's saying that Paul's going to get photos of Jared shocked by lightning. Paul, we are now counting on you to get those photos, just saying. Donna says Airbus A400. Yes. So that was the one that landed on the Thursday evening that we were willing to drive from Roodepoort all the way to friggin' OR Tambo. And then we both decided to be responsible adults, which lame. Never the best decision. Okay. Then we have a question from Andrew. What advice would you give someone who's interested in getting into aviation photography? Now, Jared, you can choose to answer this now. I think it is part of sort of one of our questions a bit later. So you can choose to answer it now or chat about it later.
Up to you. It's your interview. I'm happy either way.
Then I'm going to say, Andrew, we will be asking that question a little bit later. So if you don't mind just hanging on. Hey, that then forces people to stay on the line, even if we're boring. Suckers. Okay. All right. So we've spoken about how you visualize your spots and the fact that a fair amount of it comes into planning, but a fair amount of it comes into luck. There was a photo that I wanted to show, and I have no idea what the heck my computer is doing tonight, but it really is being wonky as sin, which is quite typical. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, it's doing its thing again, where it's just going, your browser has blocked your screen. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. Okay. All right, so Jared, next question then is, what has been your biggest challenge and how have you overcome it?
It's quite a loaded question, but I would probably say the biggest challenge is just keeping the motivation levels up to keep photographing.
Yes.
To not let life get in the way. I mean, that happened at a stage where
it did.
Work got
It
way
did.
too busy. Life got way too busy. The camera stayed in the cupboard. It didn't come out as often as it really should have. And, looking back, I probably regret that to a certain degree because it sort of stunted my growth in my understanding of photography. But, that's just, I suppose, part of the game. So
It's
I
part
think
of
that would
life.
probably be the biggest challenge is just keeping that motivation up of actually wanting to pick the camera up and go out
Yes.
there and actually do something with it.
Absolutely. And I mean, there are, and I can imagine rather that there would be specific times as well that you have to push harder. So your early mornings, you're being out there later in the evening, you're waiting around. How many hours do you spend waiting for planes to come in?
I don't know if I really want to answer that question because people will probably think I'm insane, but it's a large amount. I mean,
Yeah.
the Saturday of the G20, I was probably next to the airport I think I got there at 6 in the morning and I left at 7 at night,
I must
waiting
say.
to catch specific things. And
Jeez. That
some
is
things
passion.
waiting for not actually arriving. So, look, it made it easier with all the highway closures that it's difficult to move around. So, get there
You
early in the
kind of
morning, sit around, just chill, wait.
most important question in that dynamic, did you have snacks?
Plenty.
Good. That is a
Plenty.
key
No,
factor.
we went well prepared.
Okay, good. That is a key factor when you it's like a stakeout. You've got to have snacks. You
Pretty much.
always have to have snacks. And I think answering really how many hours, and I don't need a specific number, but because you've pretty much answered it, in the sense that a lot of the times people see the results, but they don't know how many hours are behind those results. They just go, oh, you must have driven there, waited 5 minutes, got the shot, and then gone home. And it doesn't. I mean, there are times that we get lucky, but it very often doesn't actually work that way.
No, I mean, sometimes it's like that. I think it was Monday evening, I think it was Monday evening. One of SAA's newest additions to its fleet came. Was tracking it through the day on flight radar, saw it was fairly close, jumped in the car, went to the runway, got the shot, climbed in the car, and went home. So sometimes it works that way, but other times it's unfortunately not that easy. So it's never, it's never the same. I mean, when it comes to aviation, delays are a real thing. Things can go wrong at the drop of a hat, and you expect the plane to arrive at, say, 3 o'clock, and they only get you at 7:38. You got to just work around that if you really want to catch a specific picture of a specific plane. There's no hard and fast rule, basically.
No, absolutely. You've got to be flexible with it to get the shots. And then, I mean, I know you have a full-time job. So how do you work around that? Do you just go, okay, sorry, boss, I'm going to take a pretty photo? If you do that,
not at all.
It's an epic boss, but
sometimes it's on the way to a meeting. You try and plan meetings around. If it's something quite unique that's not really going to come here, you quickly pop in, get the shot, and carry on driving. Yes. Other times you take the day off, you take some leave, you do whatever you need to do if you really want to catch unique things. I mean, that's what I try and do quite a bit around our time, is catching those unique arrivals.
Yes.
Stuff that doesn't always arrive, and that's why I put such a massive effort into the G20 arrivals, because it was not easy for me to actually move around for the workday with all the highway closures. So I was kind of stuck on the airport side. So I mainly work from home, emails, phone calls, do whatever you can do. But 90% of the stuff that came for G20 is never coming back here. So it was more a case of doing whatever could be done in the time available.
And I think that's what's very cool about kind of following your Instagram and Facebook, is the fact that, so I'm in West Rand, so Tambo's over 40 Ks from me. I only check flight radar when I hear something coming over. We are completely unaware of how many cool things are actually coming into OR. We're completely kind of like out of the like, oh, wow, that landed today, or that landed today. We would be if it wasn't for your page. I mean, like I said, you make us very jealous, where we look at the stuff and Dana will be like, dude, did you see what landed? And I'm like, bloody Jared.
Yep, that is true. I'm fairly lucky in the fact that I live quite close to the airport, so it makes catching stuff a little bit easier than it does for a lot of other people. So in that aspect, I guess I'm fairly lucky.
Absolutely.
But it never used to be like that. I mean, pre-COVID, I used to live out in Pretoria, so the plane spotting back then was something that was planned. You make a plan to actually go out in a day, and you get there early, you leave late. You don't want to drive up and down the highway to take photos of aircraft. So It wasn't
Not with
always the
today's
way it is now.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Very much not with today's driving. Driving has become it's basically like every time you get into your car, you have the mindset of, okay, I'm going into war, I'm going into battle. I hope I survive this, basically. That's kind of my thought process. I am very aggressive on the roads. Everybody knows this, pre-warning. But it's kind of got to that point. Okay, so we have comments. Ryan Visual says he has some of the best photos I've seen. And Ryan, I agree with you 100%. It's why I dislike him. I dislike all photographers that really shoot well. I just, they get shunned. No, seriously, it's some of the most incredible stuff. And the thing that I think makes you also unique, and we were speaking about style earlier, is the fact that you are constantly changing, constantly adapting. You're constantly producing different stuff. And even at air shows, and I'm going to bring up our next picture, air shows are a tricky place to produce something different. You've got the crowd line, and I mean, if you have media access, that's fantastic. You then get on the opposite side, and I know you have shot quite a few air shows on opposite sides, because generally I message you and go, yo, where are you? And you'll be like, you'll send me a picture from your perspective, and I'm like, seriously, why did I even ask that question?
That does help having that kind of access.
Air shows can be very tricky to actually produce something different. So before I go into Cheryl's question, run us through this photo. Because, I mean, these photos are pretty tricky to get in terms of making sure you've got rotor movement, making sure your flares still look quite almost static. They're tricky. It's difficult to sometimes predict. The amount of times I've been at an air show, aiming my camera up, going, okay, it's going to flare, and then there's nothing. And I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. I got 6 million photos of the sky. Run us through this shot.
So this was actually quite a tricky one to catch, and I'm sure a bunch of my fellow aviation guys will actually agree to it, because when the rofalk drops its flares, it generally does it both sides of the helicopter.
Yes.
And having been out of the photography game for a while, it's a question of shit. What focal length do I use? What shutter speed am I going to be at? How much space is it going to require to actually capture the flares and actually get it framed correctly? So in that aspect, it was quite difficult. And on this particular show, for some reason, the right-hand bank of flares actually malfunctioned. So only the left-hand side came out, and that gave us guys that were there a unique perspective of this. I mean, I've seen yours and Anton's and the guys' photos from, I think it was AAD 2022, and the Roy Falk actually did the angel wing flare drop, and it comes out both sides. So I was kind of framing it to try and catch that, not having had that before. And the malfunction happened, and then you got to sort of think on your feet and quickly zoom and try and catch something unique. And luckily, this is one of the ones I managed to catch.
Well, it's epic. It truly is epic. And I mean, again, I look at my shots from a flare, and if you put them next to somebody else's shots, other than the editing, very often they do look the same. So this malfunction then does give it a very unique characteristic. And what you were saying with zooming in and zooming out with air shows, you're pretty much constantly doing that. I remember taking, Olympus has a 300 mil, which basically on the Micro Four Thirds is a 600. I remember taking that lens to an air show and regretting it immediately, because trying to find the plane where you don't have the capability of zooming in and out and then going, okay, there's the plane. Oh my soul, it was difficult to shoot with that lens. So the zooming in and out is a very big factor when it comes to shooting air shows, because there's constant movement.
Yeah, zoom lenses are quite crucial, because the planes are close to you, they're far away from you, they're never in the same place twice. Having a zoom lens is quite crucial.
It is.
Obviously, some of the guys just go with the prime, and you do with that what you can. I mean, that's a unique challenge in and of itself, but a zoom lens definitely is quite useful.
It is. But what you've just said is actually, it is a challenge that I want to do this year with photographers, is literally going to an event or going to a photo walk or something and being like, right, you are only allowed to shoot on this lens, you're only allowed to shoot at this focal length, and you have to produce results, basically. Because
you find unique compositions, those kind of things. It's not going to be an easy thing to do.
No, very much not. Very, very much not. And I think sometimes we get spoiled. So, I mean, when I go to an air show, I have my 2 cameras, 2 lenses, and I'm ready for pretty much anything. And it's great, but it's sometimes too easy. It sometimes doesn't make us really think about what we're shooting.
Correct.
Okay. So we've got a question from Cheryl who says, what aircraft is your favorite to photograph and gives you the best shots?
That's a difficult question to answer because there's so many. But I think if I had to narrow it down, it would probably be the Boeing 747 or the Boeing 777. The big boys, the big stuff that can never look bad in a photo, to be fair.
No, absolutely. How often do we actually get those guys coming into Joburg?
Fairly. I mean, Lufthansa flying every day with a 747-800. A large number of the cargo planes that come to SA are 747 based, either converted freighters or actually custom built or purpose built freighters. So it's not a difficult subject to catch locally, no.
But then you just hope for the conditions. I mean, we spoke a bit earlier about blue sky. Now, I detest blue sky for most things. I detest blue sky. I want clouds. So I'm very happy.
Clouds,
we're literally, having, yes, it kind of adds more of the drama aspect to it. And I mean, OR has been knocked. Oh my goodness. I look at all the comments on a lot of the groups and flipping heck. OR gets knocked pretty much every single afternoon. It is insane.
Yeah, okay, so the rain is not that great.
No, can understand that. Claire says that this is one of her favorite shots that Jared has taken. And it is. It really is amazing. And again, hearing the story behind it makes it even better. Donna says, the only AAD I went to, I took only my 80 to 200. And man, I regretted it so much. The most fun I've ever had is I took a 10 to 20 mil to an air show. Still some of my favorite photos I've taken. So again, coming in with that challenge of using a different lens. I mean, I've now got a 714 mil with me. And I'm quite keen to kind of try some different, unique perspectives. But then it also kind of creates different shots where you can create more of a story, incorporate. And I mean, we were speaking about this yesterday about a lot of the times air shows, we go for the aircraft, but we kind of miss a lot of the creating a storyline with adding crowds, AAD generally brings a fairly big crowd, adding the static displays. There's a lot of the times we kind of just get drawn to the moving objects. And then Hanu says, lucky for him, his camera work is more steady than his webcam mount. We did talk about it earlier about the fact that he has a bit of a wonky tripod, so I do apologize about his wonky tripod. Okay, so let's go to the next question. I just need to figure out what the next question is. If you had to choose, and I mean, this kind of comes in, again, in line with what we were just talking about, one piece of camera gear for a year, what would it be and why? So whether that be a specific let's go with lens. Let's specify to a lens. So choose one lens that you are shooting everything on. And I know you shoot other things, not just aviation. I know there's other categories that you shoot. So choose one lens and stick with it for a year and tell us why.
That's quite a tough one to answer, but it would probably be some of the more professional Nikon zoom lenses, because I'm a Nikon shooter. So I'd say if I had to narrow down to just one, it would be the 120mm to 300mm f2.8 zoom lens, which will open up a lot of opportunities for both daytime and nighttime photography with the large aperture that lets a lot of light in.
Absolutely.
I could probably use that for a bit of astrophotography at night as well on a Star Trek mount, because of the amount of light that would let in as well for galaxies and nebula and those kind of things. So I think that would be the one that I've to date actually never seen one for sale locally, or anyone that's actually used one of those. So it's rarer than chicken teeth at this stage.
Well, if anybody on here has one, or anybody's looking to sell it, Jared's in the market. He might need to sell a kidney for it, but hey, like I said, we do for the camera. Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to just see if it switched photos, which it has not, which again is being stupid. Oh, because I was on the wrong one. Never mind, my computer wasn't being stupid, I was. Okay, this photo, I literally looked at and went, wait, what? I don't remember you traveling. Where did you go? Where was this photo taken?
That is in Thailand at Phuket. I went on a holiday in 2024, and obviously the camera has to go with. And obviously one of the days of the 7 we were there, I had to jump in a taxi and go and do some plane spotting at an airport that I probably never will go back to again.
I mean, the shot is just epic. Have you tried sending it to Qatar? Will they buy it from you? Probably not.
Probably not, no. I doubt they would.
But I mean, it really is an incredible shot. And again, what we were talking about earlier about how your foreground, where you are shooting makes such a big difference when you're creating this epic story. It really is a phenomenal shot, mainly because I'm obsessed with planes and I'm obsessed with water and the ocean. And my brain's just like, I'm just going to stare at it all day.
Yeah, that was a good one to get. I mean, that was, like you say, the challenge around getting up early in the morning to catch the sun rising for something unique, because that runway literally lines up east to west. So as the sun rises, the planes literally fly straight towards it.
Oh, man.
So there's always some form of a challenge around catching unique stuff, I guess.
There is. And like I said, a lot of photographers don't realize how much work goes into this stuff. There's been quite a lot of photographers that I've met over the years that sometimes feel like they just want to be handed the photos on the plate and be like, okay, this is how you produce this shot. And it's never really like that. Every single time we go out and we shoot, no matter what we're shooting, there will be an element of unknown that you have to constantly adapt to. And I think that's a very key part to growing your photography. I keep kind of coming back to that. Correct. Then we have a question from Tamron. Astrophotography as well. What else do you shoot? Jared?
Mainly aviation, astrophotography, dabble a little bit of wildlife now and then. And I try to do a little bit of macro, but that's a ball game in and of itself.
It is. It's quite a lot of it's a unique perspective, and very often it comes with unique camera gear as well.
Yes.
Which then makes it a lot more costly. You know, if we all had all of the lenses that we wanted for all of the different genres that we shoot, can you imagine how heavy our camera bags would be? Flipping heck.
Yes, yeah.
I don't think that's even remotely possible. Okay, so now we have, when I first met Jared, he couldn't pan like really well, and then I taught him how to pan.
Is it? Okay.
No, actually, I honestly I can't remember, but I mean this was many years ago. But Jared rates he taught me how to pan, which is very possible. Very possible. Through my career, I've had a lot of different photographers who have taught me different elements to photography and taught me different skills in photography. So
you're always able to learn from employers. You're always able to learn from the guys around you.
Yes. Absolutely. That is a very key factor that, again, I kind of come down to the photographic industry in South Africa, where we kind of we kind of close ourselves off and we kind of create our own little bubble and we go, okay, this is my bubble. I know what I have. And we don't really want to share our information. And that's kind of another reason why I wanted to start this, in terms of chatting to different photographers in different industries, different genres, bringing them all together and sharing the information that we have. Because the reality is, we keep coming back to how much effort goes into photography. You can share as much information as you want. If that person has the passion and the skill and the time to go and do it, they will drive or they will run with that information and actually create the shots. If they don't, then it's just going to be information that it's kind of going to go over their head type situation. So kind of throwing the information out, for me, it's a big factor. When I started photography, I had a lot of really, really great photographers teaching me, giving me advice. I didn't always take the advice. I would probably backchat them, but it was about taking in as much knowledge as possible. So here, this shot. Do you remember what your shutter speed was?
That, I think, was around 1/30th. I can quickly have a look at the side and see if I can quickly tell you.
It looks about 1/30th. It looks around there. And I mean, I think
I'll find it fairly easily for you.
This is Swartkop's Air Force Base, I think.
Yes, that is Swart. Yeah.
Okay, yes, because I'm just thinking that's the only kind of Air Force Base that I know that has the shrubbery, basically, kind of giving you that darker background.
So that was 1/15th of a second, sorry.
1/15th. Okay. Very, very cool. Wait, so what is your slowest shutter speed? Pan. Dun dun dun. That it was sharp enough that you were happy with the result.
I've managed to get down to a pan of 1/4 of a second.
1/4 of a second.
Yeah.
Oh my soul. Is that on your Instagram?
400 mils. Actually, I don't know if I've posted that one, to be fair.
Honestly, well, now you're going to have to post it. People, please nag him to post the 1/4 of a second, because I am going to nag him because I have to see the shot. And panning like that, just practice, 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 right?
100%. All it is practice, getting the right technique, getting the body swivel, your tracking, your following, your stability. It all plays a large role. Especially, I think the biggest one that plays the biggest role there is the focal length you're shooting at. Because the longer your focal length, the harder it is to drop to the very low shutter speeds.
Absolutely. Very much so. It's a lot easier to pan with a wide lens than it is to pan with a zoom lens, flipping heck. But again, it's that practice element. It's that understanding your camera. It's that understanding the panning movement, understanding the full body movement, and then being able to kind of put all of those in together and go, okay, this is the shot that I want to produce.
Correct.
Okay, so Dana says, what is one airport anywhere in the world you'd like to spend a few days for plane spotting?
Sure, that's quite a loaded question. If I had to just go off the cusp, I'd probably say Anchorage in Alaska.
Amazing. Cold? Amazing.
Freezing, but it's the 747 hub of the world, so getting to see all the unique freighters going from the United States out to the Far East, and that they normally travel through Anchorage. And being in Alaska, there's also a couple of unique smaller operators that fly DC-6s, old MD-82 McDonnell Douglases, Lockheed, the civilian version of the Hercules. There's a operator that operates a couple of those out of there, so there would be quite a lot of unique stuff to actually photograph there. And obviously the background and the scenery is just next level, especially between two of the mountains and the snow. So I think that would probably be one I'd make a proper mission for.
Oh man, have you looked at flights? What is the expense going into that?
Not yet. I don't want to. It's going to be more than I'd like to spend, most likely, if we are honest.
Yeah. Unfortunately, flights are just ridiculously expensive to travel anywhere from Africa. It's quite a frustrating element, but I hope that one day you get that. I hope, because I mean, that sounds like an incredible experience, and with your caliper of photography, you would be able to create the most insane photos from that. So hey, maybe somebody will hire you to go and shoot there. That's the thing with this career path, this hobby path, this passion. Nothing is predicted. Absolutely nothing is predicted.
Very, very, very true.
But you just have to roll with it and be open to those opportunities. That's a big part of it. Deanne, I never know how to pronounce his name. Diane Townsend.
It's Dion.
Dion, thank you. Dion says, how's it, Jared? Joined a bit late, but lekker to see you. So all of the aviation guys are here, which is really, really cool. All the ones that generally give me grief at air shows, you know. But really, really awesome to, again, have you guys online. Thank you so much for the questions that are coming in so far. It makes it a lot easier for us to kind of interact when people are interacting back and asking questions. Okay, so Jared, next question. What is a project or an image you're most proud of, and what does it tell? Now, on my photographic WhatsApp group, I actually asked this question earlier this month. Like, what is your favorite photo from specifically last year, and why? So Jared posted, and has this thing gone again? No, it hasn't. But it's not showing up properly. Hello. There we go. Sorry, me and technology are just not friends tonight. Right. So this is what Jared posted in terms of his favorite photo, specifically from last year. But I think you said from like all time. Or is it just from last year?
It's definitely up there with my favorite shot I've managed to catch since I've started taking this quite seriously.
It truly is a phenomenal, phenomenal shot. Run us through the thought process in terms of getting the shot, or was it a lucky shot?
So this was one of the ones that I actually had planned in the mind's eye for quite some time. Biggest challenge around this is FedEx only arrive in SA from Dubai on a Sunday morning between 1 and 2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
So it's a late arrival. It's not an easy one to catch, and a lot of the time you come to a Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and you forget that you're actually trying to catch a photograph of one of these FedEx 777s, and you wake up the next morning like, damn, I forgot to go again.
Missed it again.
Yeah, this particular one, I actually just randomly hopped onto Flight Radar, like I sometimes do before I go to bed, just to see, is there something interesting coming in the night? Because, like I say, I'm trying to do quite a bit of stuff at night for the unique stuff that not a lot of people get to see. And
Yes.
I noticed this was coming in, and the rain had sort of subsided this side of the airport, because I'm on the more northern side of Tambo. And I just thought, stuff it, let me try. Let me jump in the car and actually go to the other side of the runway and try and catch this arriving. 1:15 in the morning, I think it was, pitch dark next to the airport, pretty damn dodgy. But like you got to risk it for the biscuit. So personal safety sort of flies out the window when that aircraft is coming at you. It's pouring with rain. The cloud base is low. It's cold. It's windy.
Oh,
the lens I was shooting with wasn't the weather sealed lens. There's risk of damaging your kit. So there's a lot of variables. And I've always wanted, knowing where the beacon sit on a 777, trying to catch the beacon actually when it's flashing, to try and do basically what we did there, where there was so much moisture, so low down over the airport, that what we call the wing fluff and all that coming off the wings and the flaps actually got illuminated by the beacons, which just helps to portray that sense of rainy, damp, cold, miserable weather that this plane's rocking up at in the middle of the night to bring people their parcels that they've ordered. So
it is such an epic photo. And I mean, the story behind it then just makes it even more epic in terms, again, of pushing yourself to create that. Now, what you spoke about in terms of safety, I mean, Donna and I went plane spotting once. We kind of drove around the airport, kind of trying to identify specific spots and trying to kind of go, okay, this will work, that won't work, blah, blah, blah. And safety is a huge factor. And I mean, look, unfortunately for two women by themselves, it's kind of, it feels a bit more, but by the same token, it's kind of the same, because they're going to attack you no matter who you are, no matter if you're a chick or a guy, and especially if you've got camera equipment. But do you have a specific thought process when it comes to safety as well? Do you at least tell people, hey, I'm going to photograph planes at 1 o'clock tomorrow morning, like just so people kind of know, okay, he hasn't come home at 6 o'clock the next day, we need to kind of send a search party out?
Look, I probably should tell people, but
maybe
most of the time I don't. It's more a case of, that's coming, I've got 15 minutes to get to that side of the airport, get in the car and go. And not a lot of people are awake at 1 in the morning, so you don't want to wake people up that are already sleeping. So it's just one of those things, you know.
It is, and I mean, it's a very unfortunate thing with living in this country. It's a very frustrating thing with living in this country. I mean, our opportunities are very much affected and downed by the safety aspect. If you've traveled, it's so annoying that we constantly, that's the word I'm looking for, constantly have to think about our safety before anything else.
Yeah, no, it is something you got to keep in the back of your mind, but I try to not dwell on it, because I feel the more you dwell on it, the more you attract it to yourself. So it's always in the back of the mind, and it's always something that you think about. But like I said, I tend not to try and overly
think of it too much.
Keep it in the forefront of the mind, because I feel like that just pulls that kind of negative energy towards you. So it's always in the back of the mind. You always keep your head on a swivel. You always watch around you.
Yes.
As soon as something doesn't feel right, just get in the car and leave. It's as simple as that.
I was going to say, though, because, I mean, you've done this for a fair amount of time. You know the areas. You are definitely trusting your gut, and that is a key factor. Huge factor. No matter where you are in the world.
It's only come with experience and being crazy enough to do it consistently, day after day, pushing the limit, getting that feeling, looking around, okay, it should be all right. I don't want to leave because I want to get a specific photo of this one plane. Whatever happens. But it's more just down to doing it multiple times to know when you should and when you really shouldn't.
Very much so. Very, very much so. And again, like you said, that just comes with time and sort of putting yourself in those spaces, but being aware of those spaces.
Correct.
Okay. So, I mean, you picked up your first camera, what were you sitting on, 14 years? Almost 14 years ago. How do you stay creative? Sorry?
That is 14 years this year, you're right.
Yeah, 14 years. How do you stay creatively inspired, especially with repetitive stuff? And I mean, catching planes coming into OR Tambo, the conditions are kind of always changing. So it kind of does make it a bit more exciting. But I talk specifically maybe about the air show. I mean, I've got to the point that unless I'm teaching a workshop, a fair amount of the air shows, I go, okay, they're the same planes. I've got 6 million photos. The only variable is kind of the weather. And I hope that it's cloudy. I hope it's something different. How do you stay inspired?
I think it goes back to what we were speaking about earlier, of just trying to catch something unique, trying a different angle, a different focal length, a different shutter speed, just fiddling basically, just going out on a day that you're not really in the mood for it, but thinking to yourself, what is possible? Trying to make the more mundane stuff look interesting.
Yes.
There's not always a unique arrival or a fighter jet that's in front of your lens. So for me, it's more a case of going out in tough, challenging conditions, like standing in the rain on the side of the airport on the top of a slide, for example, and trying to see how does a rainstorm affect the photograph you're able to get. That's more or less what it's about for me. It's just trying to capture something unique, something different.
So constantly challenging yourself, challenging your growth, challenging the type of photos. And I mean, this shot, Swartkops Air Force Base, was this a air show or was this a fly day?
This was a fly day in August of 2022, if my memory serves.
Okay. The reason I ask about the fly day is because if you've been to any of Swartkops' fly day, there are very, very few aircraft that fly. They're still impressive. They will still always be impressive. But that's why I kind of recognized it and went, this was a fly day. Which,
100%.
again, if you've been to multiple of them, they become monotonous. They become the same. So creating a shot where you're getting 2 aircraft or different aircraft in the shot, again, looking for different ways to kind of perceive the situation.
Yeah, that's all it's about. It's pushing yourself, trying something different. Yes. Otherwise, like you say, you'll get stuck in a rut. You'll find things are boring. It's the same old, day in, day out. There's always something unique to capture. You've always got to just try and picture something different in your mind's eye and try. I mean, it's all it really comes down to.
Very much so. Very, very much so. Okay, so Tamron's asking a question. Jared, is your mom online with us?
I believe she is, yeah.
Oh, no, then maybe I shouldn't ask the question. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so Tamron's asking, what is the most risky situation you've put yourself in to get a photo? And then she says, I hope your mom isn't listening.
That's basically that FedEx photo. I mean, 1 o'clock in the morning to the airport where there's really no light, you're secluded, you're out of public view, anything could go wrong, anything could happen. That would probably be that one. That's probably up there with the most dodgy thing I've done for a photograph.
And I hate saying this because, I mean, my mom's listening and she knows some of the risks that I've taken. It so was worth it for that photo. 100%. I mean, come
100%.
on. It really
I didn't make the effort to go out in the rain. I never would have got that photo. Sure, I can go and catch FedEx arriving a week later when it's just dark and there's no rain or anything, but where's the uniqueness in that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's those times where you don't really want to do it that you have to push extra harder. And I mean, there are times as well when I know I went through a phase where I really wanted to photograph the hot air balloons at Klipsicht Lodge. And there was a few times that there was groups that had been organized and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'd set my alarm and then I'd like switch it off and be like, oh, whatever. And especially if the weather was really bad. And I mean, when the weather's really bad, that's generally where you get the best photos, especially with aviation. So you've got to push.
100%. You got to make the effort to get out there when it's miserable, when it's cold, when it's windy, it's wet. That's when you get unique stuff.
Exactly. So it's all about the push. Claire says, go for it. I'm listening. So Claire, I'm so sorry. Your son's just admitted to putting his life at risk for a photo. I do apologize. Okay, so next question. This is always a difficult one because you're like, how much truth do you actually tell? Mistake you have made early on in your career that taught you a valuable lesson.
That's actually an easy one to answer, and it's when you start out. Obviously, you're never going to start out with the best gear because the best gear is expensive. So for me, it was a case of starting out with entry-level equipment, learning the techniques, learning the theory behind things, and understanding what setting gives you what result in any type of photograph. And back in the day, you'd always hear the guys saying, when you ask for advice, they tell you invest in good glass.
Yeah.
Invest in good glass. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, your lenses are very expensive. I don't know if it'll work on my whole body, because we're all guilty of it as photographers, is gear acquisition syndrome. You always want the latest, the greatest, the best.
Yes.
If there's any one mistake I made early on, it would be not investing money in proper lenses, because that is what creates the image.
It does, but, and this is where I come in with a big but. Would you be able to adapt as quickly as you can now to get the photos in any circumstance if you had not learned on gear that wasn't maybe the best?
Definitely not. The gear that's not the best has limitations. You can't do super high ISO. You don't have a lot of fantastic image stabilization in your lenses, being kit lenses. They're not the sharpest. You need to properly work on things and understand your technique and what it is you're doing to achieve things. And I think that's more or less the same as what I said to a mate of mine who wanted to get into mountain biking back in the day. He wanted to go and buy himself a 60,000 rand bicycle. He'd never ridden before. He wasn't fit. He didn't know if he liked it. So I said to him, why go and buy a Rolls Royce bicycle and you ride 2 or 3 times and you end up not liking it?
Yeah.
Rather start small, start on the stuff that you sort of need to work harder to achieve a similar result to what the guys with a better kit do, that you actually learn the technique and everything in the background that will allow you to take pro level kit and actually use it correctly.
So basically it becomes more about you as a photographer than about your camera gear. And that is
correct.
The
photographer is the person who is the one who takes the image. When people say to you, oh, your camera must be really good because it's a nice photo, can't be further from the truth. It can't be the thing that drives me the most insane. Oh, yes, you must have the best camera in the world because you take nice pictures. That means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. There's people out there with the best gear that take average images because maybe they don't have the passion for it. They don't understand all the theory behind it.
Yes.
Yes, the gear helps.
It does, because it kind of makes it easier.
Being able to capture specific items and specific things.
Yes.
Long focal length lenses, being able to shoot at high ISOs when it's very dark outside, that all makes a big difference. But it's the photographer that captures the image. It's not the equipment.
No, very much not. And that's where I do feel that if you start off with entry-level camera gear, it pushes you to be a better photographer in yourself because you find ways around it. You talk about 100%. The fact that it can't handle high ISO capability, which means that you then start dropping your shutter speed lower and lower, which means that you understand the effect of shutter speed a lot more. You understand the effect of your stability a lot more to be able to get those shots. So all in all, it just makes you a better photographer. But I'm completely with you in that investing in better lenses from the start, it does make it easier. It very 100%. Much does. So we're kind of contradicting ourselves with this, where you're going, okay, no, start out with entry-level gear because it makes you a better photographer, but buying lenses, it's tricky. All of it is just tricky.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, when I started, it was the exact same. You need better glass, you need better glass. And I was going, I can't afford better glass, so I'm still going to try and shoot. And I'm probably going to fail a million times and get the worst shots on earth, but I'm still going to try. And that is the key factor.
Well, that's all that matters at the end of the day, is actually trying, is doing.
Yes. Exactly that. So I'm going to bring up pretty photo of Agrippa. Now this was with media access because we don't get normally this close to the aircraft, correct?
That was media access, correct?
At AAD.
That was AAD in 2024, yeah.
When it was so damn cold.
Yeah, look, I've been cold behind the lens, but I think that weekend takes the. I'm sure the guys that were with me, they can attest to that. The Friday and Saturday particularly was particularly unpleasant.
Yes. I was in bed. watching you guys and going, I feel
Yeah.
very sorry for you guys. Shame, shame. I had attended on the Friday, and on the Friday it was still cold, but that Saturday, and I mean, a fair amount of the aircraft didn't fly, and I really felt very, very sorry for most of you guys standing out there. I was like, yeah, no,
The weather was against us that day.
very
But
much so. So
we did the best we could with the conditions we have, and that's part of photography as well, is using what you get in front of you. I mean, none of us can control the weather.
no, rolling with the punches. That is the best
Yep.
way to be a good photographer, is looking for opportunities, looking for unique ways to shoot things. And again, like the clouds in this shot, I'm obsessed with clouds. So any type of photos that actually have clouds in them, my brain's just like, yay, it's more dramatic. I like drama. Well, actually, no, I don't like drama. My friends will attest to that. Be like, no, you're dramatic. I like dramatic photos, but really, really awesome photos. So we can hope that conditions are going to be better for this year's AAD.
Fingers crossed. As long as it's warmer. It can be overcast and gloomy, I suppose, but as long as it's just warmer. The cold last
Not
AD
-4?
was seriously unpleasant.
I think there were times that it actually registered at like -4, somewhere around there, first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So no, we will hope for way better conditions this year. All right, so actually, yeah, there we go. There's the next photo, because this photo is international quality. I mean, I've only ever seen photos like this produced by international photographers. This photo is insane, Jared. Like, oh my soul, dude. Okay, so first question from this photo is, was this general public area, or did you have special access? And I ask that kind of going, do not tell your special access. And the reason I say do not tell your special access is because, unfortunately, photographers have a habit of kind of bombarding stuff. Like, there's a fair amount of photographers that, like, unfortunately, just ruin things. So, yes or no, was this general public area?
That was from public area around the airport, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. There are quite a few different spots. There are quite a few different articles if you Google plane spotting locations around OR Tambo. But again, as we've been talking about, please just be very careful. Safety, I mean, we are living in a flipping dodgy country. So safety is always a very, very key element when it comes to these places. Taking the risk, yes, we've been speaking about that. But if you don't know the area, don't take the risk. It's really that simple, because things can go wrong. Right, Jared. Was the shot taken on, well, actually, I've answered in my own head. Tripod, yes.
Tripod, yes.
What was your shutter speed? How long did you have the shutter open?
I think that's 15 seconds.
Jeez. That is cool. Now, was this one of those times that you were bored, you were waiting for a specific plane, you decided to create something unique, different, or was this, I'm going out to shoot this specific shot?
It was the latter. It's something I've had in the mind's eye for quite a while. Seeing a couple of guys overseas do it and wondering, is something like that possible around OR? And to a degree it is. The angle you can get to see the runway is not the best, but it works to a degree. So that was something that was sort of premeditated. I went out that night with that specific goal in mind.
It does kind of help on the creative side of things when you do have specific goals in mind. I have found that it does kind of take away the monotonous. It does kind of make your brain kind of more excited about kind of creating something specific.
Yes. 100%.
It really is.
You've got the idea in your mind, but what settings are actually going to allow you to achieve what you're trying to achieve.
So it's about arriving, having a thought process going, okay, this is the shot I want to produce, knowing how to produce it in terms of going, okay, this is a longer shutter speed, this is how I produce the shot. But then it's about kind of putting those things together and kind of hoping for the best, going, okay, are these variables going to work? Do I need my shutter speed to be longer? Do I need it to be slower? It's not slower, faster type situation. So it's kind of putting all of the elements together and going, okay, I hope this works.
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, if you think about it, back in the day with film photography, I take my hat off to the guys who did what we do these days back in the day on film. Yes. I mean, you had, 36 chances to take a nice picture, and you had to wait 3 weeks for your whole roll of film to be developed and come back to see if you actually got anything.
Yeah.
Where now with digital cameras, you can take thousands of pictures in a day and do whatever you feel like you're doing. If you've got the settings right, you'll invariably get the photo.
Look at the back of the screen and immediately go, okay, flip, I got the shot. I'm the best photographer in the world. And otherwise look at it and go, oh my goodness, it's not in focus. I always laugh and go, oh my goodness, it's actually in focus. Wow. I'm actually okay with this stuff. But no,
Yeah.
I agree with you completely in terms of the older, or the photographers that learnt on film. They had a different thought process. They went out and they went, right, this is the shot I want to get. They had to think about what they got before they took it. And
Yes.
again, coming back to camera gear, I find that as techno junkies, it's too easy to rely on the camera to be able to produce the shots. It's very, very much a big
Right.
thing. And I mean, Adele has just commented and said she has a Canon 1300D. And yes, it's challenging to shoot, especially indoor functions when there's not much light. But concert photography with lights on stage shows 70 to 300 kit lens, and I get decent shots. So again, Adele, it's about improving your skills as a photographer and not just relying on your camera gear. I mean, I look at my camera gear, and yes, my Olympus gear that I'm shooting on is quite old. It's what, 7-8 years old. So in terms of technology, there have been improvements, but I could never, after shooting with mirrorless camera gear, I could never go back to a DSLR. I would probably die. I would feel like I'm carrying a brick around, but also just from the technical side of things, I have become very reliant on the newer technology that's in my cameras. So it is a very big factor, huge factor.
Correct.
Oh, right. Well, this photo is just absolutely flipping epic, Jared. OR Tamba should buy it and print it and like pay you millions of rands for it. We know that that doesn't work. We know that that doesn't work. All right. So now we come back to sort of Andrew's question. For photographers that are starting out, for photographers that are interested in getting to either generalized aviation photography or specifically plane spotting photography, give one or any advice that you would give to somebody starting out.
I think if it had to be one piece of advice, it's just to get out there and take photos.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You're not going to get a photo if you're not next to the airport with a camera.
Yes. It's
basically what it boils down to. You just got to get out there and you got to do it. You got to try. You got to fiddle. You got to change settings. You got to understand why you want a slower shutter speed versus a faster shutter speed. Why you want a shallower depth of field versus a deeper depth of field. You just got to get out and shoot. That's all it boils down to at the end of the day.
I think it's the most simple thing when it comes to actually every single genre. Every single genre of photography, it's about picking up your camera and going out and shooting, because you will learn about your camera. You will learn how to change settings quickly. You will understand the impact of those settings that you're changing, and just your confidence level will grow.
Correct.
Just go and shoot. Just go and take damn photos. It's really quite simple. I just want to quickly see what our next photo was, because where are we? We're on number. Okay, cool. So I think this is our last question. Dun, dun, dun. I do apologize to those watching. I literally, when we spoke about the live yesterday, I was like, I'm not specifically sticking to an hour. So I'm hoping you guys are still finding this interesting. Hope we haven't lulled you to sleep. And again, if you've got questions for Jared, please feel free to post them now. You can still post once the live is finished. So if you're watching this after the live is finished, Jared will go and answer the questions. I will force him to. But yeah, thanks again for joining us, and I hope you're still enjoying it. Okay, so last question. Where do you see your photography going in the next few years? Do you think it will change? Do you think you're going to go for new directions? And is it still as exciting as it was so many years ago?
The next few years are probably going to be pretty interesting. I mean, it comes back to just trying to be better, trying to catch more unique stuff, learning new techniques, maybe trying to get actually paid for doing what we love doing, basically.
That I think comes down to one of the trickiest parts with photography. You know, we talk about settings and camera gear and opportunities and putting ourselves out there and all that jazz. But the biggest issue is getting paid. Finding people that find what we do and what we produce, and finding the right ones that are then got the bank accounts to actually pay for it.
Correct.
But I'm very much a believer that you will find the right people. If you're constantly pushing, you constantly have the passion, you're putting yourself out there. Putting yourself out there is the key factor. Showing up, and especially on the days where you don't want to. And I mean, I've experienced that so many times. where I'll be sitting at home, I'll be miserable, there's no work coming in, I'm going, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my bills? This is horrible. And then I will go to a networking event, or even not even a networking event. I will go to a expo. Nobody knows me there. It's something that I don't even understand, whether it's technology or data or this or that, but I'm actively putting myself in that space to sort of either interact with people. And I mean, there are times where I will get to an expo with the whole intention of networking. I will get there and my anxiety will go, excuse me, you're going to go and talk to people? How about no? So I will end up walking around the expo going, I'm wasting money by being here, but I'm still here. It's about that showing up when you don't want to show up. And especially if you want to build something that has the potential to grow into something that you can't imagine. And like I said earlier, the photography growth, or I think it's any industry that you're passionate about, you actually have no idea where it can take you. You'll look back in 5 years' time and go, oh my goodness, okay, wow, I did not expect that adventure. And it might have even taken you on a completely opposite path, but there's no predicting where it'll take you. So like you said, just go out and shoot, carry on shooting, and be done with it. Claire says, would you ever consider producing a book of your best photos?
I probably would one day. I do remember I did it early on when you and I used to do motorsport back in the day. I did a photo book of my favorite images from one of the years, and it was actually quite rewarding to see your own work printed in a book format. That, you know, having that tactility and seeing something like that in the flesh is quite different to seeing your photos on the screen like we always used to when we sit and edit things. And
very much so. Printing stuff is, yeah.
Yes.
Printing stuff is something that a lot of us don't do. I mean, we sit with hard drives and hard drives and hard drives of photos. I mean, I have a bit of a photo wall behind me, but the only reason that I have that photo wall was because I did an expo and I had to print a whole bunch of photos, and then went, oh, cool, this will look great in my office. But printing your photo, to be able to see it and to be able to hold something that's tangible, it's such an epic feeling.
That is a good feeling, and I'm guilty of it myself. I mean, I say that FedEx image is one of my all-time best, and I've been threatening to print it now for the last 9-10 months, and I still haven't. So just getting to do it and actually doing it is pretty key. I mean, you can see here in the background, I've got a couple of Herman Potgieter prints nicely framed that need to go up on the wall. Just seeing your images in a physical medium is quite rewarding.
It is. It is extremely. And I mean, I still have moments where I look at my images and go, holy cow, did I take that? I'm like, whoa, how did I do that? There are moments where you'll look at your photos and be like, huh, I'm not so bad at this. Okay, yep. Tammy wants to know, do you sell your photos? And if so, how do people go about buying them? Because, I mean, these photos would be beyond epic in a space. They really would. I mean, as an aviation lover, having something like that on your wall would be so cool. So how do people get about contacting you? I'm actually going to post. So this is Jared's Instagram account. You can spam him with messages, spam him with questions. Do not ask him where his secret locations are. He doesn't tell anybody, not even me. I mean, we have tried. But no, so please feel free to ask him. Go and give him a follow on Instagram. And then that is his Facebook page. And then if you see something, buy it. Just do it. Because again, supporting a fellow photographer, and especially one who has as much passion as this and who's willing to wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and go and stand out in the rain, deserves to be rewarded, deserves to be paid for the effort. Okay, so now, dun, 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 I have 3 quick-fire questions that you weren't prepared for. Oh, no.
Let's do it. Bring it.
All right. So what is the worst pain? Missing the shot or having the wrong settings?
Wrong settings.
It is the worst, isn't it? I'd
rather have missed it completely than have a blurry photo because settings were wrong, or you weren't fast enough for the moment and you have to look at a blurry mess instead of having nothing. So wrong settings for sure.
Okay, I I do agree with you. I do agree with you because also after so many years, you're professional, so you're supposed to be able to pick up your camera and immediately be able to shoot. And then I've done it a few times where I've been shooting something the night before, say a long exposure or whatever. The next day I'll get to a shoot, not really be thinking or concentrating, pick up the camera, take a shot, and it's like, what was I doing? Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
So
happens to the best of us.
Absolutely. Okay. How many times have you said one more plane and then stayed for 3?
Every time.
Expected that as an answer. I would do the exact same. If I stayed anywhere near the airport, I would actually get no work done. As is through the G20. Through the G20, like I swear I don't remember getting any work done that week because Sedana stays 9 k's from me. And basically how we would do it. I mean, Nazareth is kind of about 20 k's from me. So we could hear the Gripen from here. So then Dana would message and be like, hey, I think she's coming your way. And I'd run outside and stand there and be like, who is she? Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? And I'd hear her, but I couldn't see her. And so honestly, if I can't live near an airport. It literally is just not going to work. I'm never going to get any editing or work done. This would be
fair enough.
And then what is one thing every photographer pretends doesn't happen, but so does? What is that one thing for you?
Blurry photos.
Oh, gasp. I mean, you're telling me that not every single shot is 100% sharp? What?
Never. Not possible. Anyone who says all their photos are sharp are lying.
I agree with that completely. And it's actually, when I'm doing my motorsport photography workshops, I literally I stop and I like to look at my camera and I go, guys, this is honestly the best photo I've ever taken. And they all think I'm being serious. And then they come over. Not a single thing is sharp. Not a single thing is in focus. It's completely overexposed. It is the worst photo. It's not even a photo. It's like a blur. And I'm like, you see, not every single shot is 100% like the right shot.
Correct.
All right, Jared, I think we are finished with you. Dun, dun, dun. So massive thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for putting up with all my random weird questions. Thank you for being the first person to join on the art of photography. Like I said, it's something that I really want to grow and just share passion with people, passion for photography, and give them insight into what actually goes into it. So I'm going to pop his Instagram up one more time. If you've got any last minute questions, please leave them in the comment section. Or like I said, afterwards, the questions will still be there so we can go and reply to them afterwards. So that is Jared's Instagram account. Give him a follow. And that is his Facebook page. So definitely go and give him a follow. Just be warned that he is going to make you jealous with the cool aircraft that he gets to photograph. So I see we have one more question from Timothy, who says, who is your favorite person to go shooting with and why is it me? Jokes aside, Jared is a great photographer and I've learned lots with him. This was nice. Thanks, Meghan. Oh, thank you. Thank you. But yes, actually, it does matter who you go with, isn't that? That is a big factor.
100% it does. Helps to have the right people around you.
Yes. Also, the people that are excited. That is a huge factor I've found. So having people that are like, they share the same energy as you. It makes such a big difference with just being there, enjoying the space, even if there's nothing happening. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
That it does. That's very true.
Very much so. And then Cheryl says most insightful. So thank you so much for joining. All right, so I'm going to ditch Jared now, and I'm going to carry on for another 3 hours talking about everything. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So Jared, thank you again for joining us. Yeah. So bye now.
Thanks very much for having me. It's been good.
Cool. Thanks,
Take
Jared.
it easy.
Bye.
Ciao.
Okay, and now it's just me. All right. So epic stuff. Kind of gives you an understanding into what goes into these photos, because we just see the photos and we go, oh, that's cool. He must have been at the right place at the right time. But actually understanding the psyche, the thought process that goes into it, and then how to actually produce those shots yourself. And now you can also understand why I really dislike him, because, I mean, his photos are just beyond incredible. So thank you again for joining for the chat. If you have any specific photographers that you would like me to see me chat to, specific genres, or just anybody that you find interesting in terms of the photographic world, please feel free to send me a message. Like I said, I am going to be growing this. I do want to get to the point that I actually have different people, whether it be makeup artists, talking about how proper makeup affects a photo shoot, all of those aspects into this. So next episode of The Art of Photography will be on the 11th of February. And I'm just going to bring up my photo screen again. And I have somebody that is beyond amazing as a photographer. So our next, I'm actually just going to remove Jared's banner. Our next photographer will be a photographer by the name of Zahir Ali from Zali. I'm hoping I'm saying that properly. Photography. He is one of the most insanely talented wildlife photographers. And I mean, this shot, if you haven't seen the shot, you must be living under a rock, because this shot itself is just pure, utter magic. You know that I have a love for rhinos, so this shot just, there actually isn't beating this shot. The shot is just beyond magical. So he will be chatting to us about photography, wildlife photography, the challenges around wildlife photography, the challenges around gear, how to get into wildlife photography. And I think one of the biggest questions, again, what we were talking about just now, was making money from wildlife photography, what opportunities there are, how you can kind of grow it to be a successful business, which is the most frustrating part of turning your passion into a job. It really is annoying. I just want to make sure that that photo is showing. Yes. So these are some of his images, a very, very unique perspective on wildlife photography, because there are some phenomenal wildlife photographers out there, and each one has a unique thought process to getting those photos. So join us on the 11th of February. Okay, I didn't put that one in. Never mind. For that chat with Zahir Ali, who says he is looking forward to it. Yes, Zahir, we are looking very forward to hearing your insight. I just want to steal all your information. I'm going to steal it and sell it. But just having somebody that's so passionate about it, about photography, about pushing past all the boundaries, it helps in a big, big way. So Andrew says he's definitely going to be joining, and we look forward to having you with us. Okay, so one last thing before I let you actually carry on with your evening in peace. Is the fact that I do host different types of photographic workshops, different types to kind of get together as photographers and try different things when it comes to photography. So my first one is going to be this Sunday, the 18th of January at the Walter Sisulu Botanical Gardens, and it is basically a critter walk. So very often we focus on the bigger things. We focus on especially when we're in a game park specifically, we focus on the big game versus seeing the smaller things. And COVID taught me to actually walk through the garden and see the bugs and try and photograph the bugs, because they can be really challenging to shoot. So I will be having a critter walk on the 18th of January. I then host a coffee, cameras, and cake. Now, I started this initiative last year with a similar thought process to what we're doing now in terms of having conversations. We isolate ourselves as creatives. Very often we shy away from sharing our knowledge, sharing our questions. We deal with our own frustrations in our own way type situation. And it's not the greatest. So having a community of photographers that we can chat to, we can share our ideas, but in a safe way, we can share our thought process, and we can just gain knowledge and gain or be inspired by other photographers. So that is on the 25th of January at Northcott Manor, which is in Fourways. It's really just a cool session to come and chat to photographers and just interact. It really is awesome. And then I have on the 31st of January, we have our first race day of the year, which is the Passion for Speed at Swartkops Raceway. If you're into vintage cars, it is the most incredible event of the year. So I host my motorsport photography workshop where I teach you all about panning, all about finding locations. We are shooting from the spectator zone, which comes with its own challenges, shooting through the fence, making ways or making locations work to get the photos that you want. So that is on the 31st of January at Swartkops Raceway. And yeah, so I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is it from me. Tammy says, thank you, Meghan. Lovely interview. Jared is very insightful. And he is. Again, massive thank you to Jared for joining me. Now I'm going to shut up. I'm actually going to stop talking. Thank you again for joining for this evening. I really, really hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And I will see you on the 11th of February for the incredible chat with Zahir. Thank you guys again. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you again soon.